Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be putting on some makeup, but I'm also going to be answering some of your questions. So I did post on my community tab earlier in the week, letting you know if you have any questions for me, please pop them in there. I also posted this about 6 months ago and I got some questions and then I never ended up filming the Q&A, so I'm going to be answering those today as well. So let's pin the hair back. I am going to be using a mix of some of just my top favorite products and some newer things that I am testing out. Sometimes the headband kind of looks cute and then sometimes it doesn't. I will try to mention what I'm using, but if I forget, everything will be linked down below. I did just prep my skin. I did do my normal skincare routine, but I also have been prepping my skin with the Refer Intense Hydration Cream. They sent me this recently in a very generous package with a bunch of their brushes. And I've heard a lot of people talk about their cream, and this one is specifically for dry skin, and it's amazing. It's the only thing I've been using for skin prep, and my skin has been looking so good and my makeup has been looking flawless. So I'm really loving this. If you have dry skin, this could be the answer to all of our problems. But let's hop into it. I think I'm going to start with the eyes, which I normally like to do, and I'm just going to use the new NARS All Matte Quad that I tried out recently. This is in Co-Wrong, so this is just 4 matte shades, but I really just want to use it with the new Dior Monocolor Single Shadow in Beige Mitza. So I've been testing this one out. I've used it quite a few times, and I think I've used it in a short, but I haven't really used it on camera, so I'm kind of excited about that, and I've just been loving it so much. So I thought now is a great time. So I'm just going to prep my lids and then I will get into answering some questions. Okay, so we are getting a crazy rainstorm today. It just started to downpour again, so you might be able to hear that on camera. These are my favorite types of days. I love a stormy Sunday. Okay, so I'm going to start with the NARS Co-Wrong Quad, and I just want to dip into this shade here, and then I'll probably use this one as the main crease shade. So the first question that I actually got a few times was, when did I start YouTube? What kind of inspired me to start? What got me into it? And I have just always loved makeup. I've always loved beauty. I remember just, even when I was little, just being fascinated by makeup and products and, you know, all of the things. I've just always been so intrigued by it. So as I got older, I just continued casually loving makeup. And when I got my first job out of college, actually it was my second job. My first job was about 6 weeks, but my first long-term job out of college, which I actually still have, the office was situated right downtown, and it was a 10-minute walk to a pretty large mall, which means Sephora. Once I figured that out, I walked to the mall nearly every day at lunch. And for the first few years, I most certainly didn't have the purchasing power to purchase every time, but every day on my lunch, I would say I'm going for a walk. And I would get my steps. I would get, you know, a really good amount of steps from that walk every day. But I was always going over there, and I always wandered into Sephora just to play around and swatch the makeup, swatch the new formulas. And I mean, that lasted until 2020 when I started working from home. So that tells you how into that little habit I was. And then I would say a few months before COVID actually happened and the lockdowns happened and we had to start working from home, I started talking to my husband about maybe being interested in starting my own channel. I really enjoyed beauty content myself, and since I was always at Sephora comparing formulas and things like that, I thought, you know, reviewing sounds like something that I would really like to do, but I didn't really do anything about it. I just kept talking about it quite a bit. So then the COVID lockdowns happened and I started working from home. So at that time, I now had all of this time on my hands that I didn't have before. I previously had an hour's commute to and from work every day. I was working long hours. So now I'm at a point where I have all this extra time on my hands. And I was shopping for makeup a lot because I was also saving a lot of money on gas and parking. So I was shopping for makeup quite a bit more than I ever had before. I've been blending my crease for too long. I'm going in with the Dior. So my husband is the sweetest, most supportive husband, and he was so excited and so on board with me starting a channel. And you know, all of the self-doubt was obviously creeping in. Of course it was, but I just love this shadow so much. But my husband was so on board and so supportive, and he knew I really wanted to do it, but I was letting the self-doubt hold me back a little bit, and he knows with me when to sort of back off, but also when to push. And this is one of those instances where the push was what I needed, and so that's what he did. He said, okay, well, no more buying makeup until you start your channel. And I think I posted my first video the next day. So that is where it started. So April of 2020, I uploaded my very first video, and it was a big learning curve for me. So let me pop off camera. I am going to do my mascara and my brows. Okay, so eyes and brows are done, and I'm just going to use my NARS Light Reflecting Foundation and my Natasha Denona Concealer. This is just my favorite base combo. So like I mentioned, I started my YouTube channel in April of 2020. It was an incredibly slow progression, and I've learned so much along the way. I have privated a lot of my videos from the very early days because, let me tell you, they were rough. And they're expected to be. But that's why I didn't delete them, because they are a reminder of how far I've come as a person, as a speaker, as a creator. So much has changed since those early days, so I haven't deleted those videos, but I have privated a lot of them, just, you know, because they're a little rough. So I have been doing this for a while, and I think my channel finally hit 1,000 subscribers in September, I think, of 2022. So I was doing it for a while before anything happened. But since then, I've noticed quite a bit of growth and progression, and I'm noticing more and more growth every day, which makes me really excited because I feel like maybe I'm doing something right. But that does lead me to my next question, which was, is this your full-time job, or do you have a more traditional job? And I do have a more traditional job. I have two. YouTube is like my third job. So I mentioned my first long-term job out of college, and I still have that job. That was my full-time job until January 2022. And I do work in the legal field. I don't go into my work too much just because of the nature of what I do, but I do work in the legal field, and I really love that. I'm doing what I went to school for, which is also makes me happy. But in January of 2022, I ended up getting an offer from a larger company that was just an incredible offer. It had all of the benefits one could ever want from a company. It was just amazing, and there was absolutely no way that I could turn it down. I mean, all of the things I just mentioned were amazing, but it was also kind of like getting an offer like that at my age. It just puts me in a really good spot for my future, especially. So I, of course, couldn't turn that down, but I also really enjoyed my boss at my first job. So I really didn't want to leave him, and I didn't want to leave what I was doing because I really enjoyed the work. But it was one of those times where I really needed to make a game time decision. So I took the new job, but I stayed on part-time until my boss could kind of replace me at my position. The position I had really did have 3 different moving parts to it. I was kind of doing like the job of 3 different people at that point. There was one part of my job that was always my goal, and that is what I'm doing for him right now. So I still work that job in the evenings. So Monday to Thursday in the evenings, I work that job. And then the job I started in January 2022, that is my full-time day job. So I do work a lot, and I don't necessarily have a ton of free time, but I don't know how long I'm going to do things this way. But for right now, it's what works. Just going into my NARS Laguna bronzer. I then film my YouTube videos and my other content on the weekends and get my editing and uploading done. and have everything uploaded and scheduled to go live at certain points during the week. So I've got a pretty good system. I'm kind of hard on myself because I know that I should be much more active on Instagram and TikTok. I do try to post short form content over there as well. I could be a little bit more active, but because I am so busy, that is just one of those things that does kind of fall down for me sometimes. And also comments. So I love getting comments from you guys. I love connecting with you guys. That's one of the reasons I started my channel, was because I really didn't have anyone in my life who shared my interests. So starting YouTube kind of allowed me to find and connect with others that do. So that is part of why I love my YouTube so much, and I hope to see it grow because I absolutely love connecting with others who share my interests. It means a lot to me. It really does. Next, I'm going in with my Lawless Soft Blur Cream Blush in the shade Angel. I love this. So I do try to respond to all of my comments. I'm just not as quick as I would like, given that I'm so busy, and usually when my video goes up, I'm working. So I usually end up responding once I finish up for the night. So I do respond. It just sometimes takes me a minute. That is such a pretty cream blush. It's been such a favorite of mine recently. Okay, another question I had was, aside from beauty, what are some of your other passions and hobbies? So, of course, makeup, beauty, YouTube, all of the things. Man, I love this blush so much. I love to read. I love painting. I love puzzles. Those types of things really just kind of quiet my mind, which is usually quite noisy. So I love to focus on those things, and I love to focus on things that bring out my creative side a little bit. For my highlight, I'm going to be using the new Patrick Top Major Glow Cream and Powder Light Reflecting Highlighter Duo. So I did pick up two. I picked up My Love and Baby, and I have used them both already. Baby is a little bit more subtle. My Love is a little bit more blinding, but I do kind of want to show you these anyway. The powders in these are very soft, but I was fortunate enough mine did not break like I saw some people's. So I'm going to take a quick moment here because I want to show you the difference between the two. I had intended to film a dedicated review on these, but they ended up coming in a little bit late, so I thought maybe I'll just incorporate them into this video. There are swatches of both of the cream highlighters, so they are hard to see, but over here I have My Love and over here I have Baby. So you can see they're both pretty subtle, pretty translucent. My Love is definitely that more blinding icy highlight. Baby is much more subtle. It does have a pink shift, but if you're looking to purchase these, you definitely don't need both shades. I think today I'm still going to go with My Love, and I will say these powders are definitely on the glittery side, so if you don't like that, just be careful of these. See, that is very blinding, and it's definitely glittery. So like I said, you'll want to be careful with that. And then what I found is the best method is the Patrick Ta method, and then going in and adding the cream over top. So you can use a sponge or a brush or whatever you want. I think my finger is just the easiest way because it really does melt everything in there, and it does end up looking really pretty, but it's not going to be an incredibly intense highlight if that's what you're looking for. The powders themselves seem a little more intense. I find when you add the cream, it just sort of melts everything in, makes it look a little bit more natural. Still quite bright, but otherwise not an overly intense highlighter situation. I would say Baby is even more subtle, so it's really your own preference. For lips, I've really been liking the new Pat McGrath Dramatique Mega Lip Pencil in Nude Venus. So this is supposed to be like a lip liner, lipstick combo, much like the NARS pencils that I also really like. These do dry down quite matte, and they do wear quite a long time, but I would say that they are a little bit creamier than the NARS ones, if you're familiar with those. Okay, I think that might have been a little bit more peachy than I was initially going for, but it'll work for me today. So I actually had one more question that I do want to answer. I can't believe I finished my makeup before I finished talking. That doesn't happen to me. So the last question I have is, do you have any tips or tricks for getting your hands on brands or products that aren't sold in Canada? And I like this question a lot because this is something I actually think about a ton as a Canadian reviewer. So in sharing tips and tricks, it is important to note that I do essentially live on the border, and I'm less than 10 minutes away from a border crossing, and the nearest Ulta is about an hour, so it's not really a huge undertaking for me to take the trip down there and get some products that I can't get up here. I won't make the trip if it's just, you know, say a drugstore blush launches that I'm really interested in. I'll wait for that one. But if it's a day where there is a lot of launches, some big launches, for example, last year the Tarte Man-Eater palette and the Too Faced fall palette came out on the same day. They launched on a Sunday morning at Sephora. So in a situation like that, we just made the hour's drive and I was able to get my hands on the product. So I am very fortunate in that regard. And if you are in a similar position to me that way, you can open a mailbox at a UPS store. And this is something that my husband and I have been discussing. I'm pretty sure we're going to go ahead with it, but just opening a mailbox at the UPS store, which is just across the border. So it's, you know, maybe 15 minutes from my house. And that way I can have things that don't ship to Canada shipped there, and then I can just hop over and purchase it. And I think I would also consider doing that for brands that will ship to Canada, but the shipping costs are astronomical. If I can just have them shipped there, I can just go pick it up myself and it'll be a lot cheaper. Also, you can use a parcel forwarding service. I have one of those as well. I don't really use it, but I have in the past, and those are usually pretty inexpensive. I think mine was like $5 to set up, and you can have packages shipped to them and then they will ship it up to you. You do have to pay shipping from them though. So that's the only thing, but that is a way to kind of work around the system. It won't work with Ulta because you do have to have an American credit card to even shop Ulta. I've tried. So I would say the forwarding service is the best option if you don't live close to a border. If you live close to the border, sometimes it's easier to just take a trip or consider opening a mailbox at a UPS store. That is a good option as well. But that is it for me today. I'm actually really happy with how the final look came out. I am really happy with my hair today too, which I love. I'm never happy with my hair, but that is it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this Q&A. I hope this was fun. Let me know down below if you would be interested in more of these types of videos. I don't do a ton of chatty get ready with me videos, but if you like those types of videos and you would be interested to see more of those from me, let me know because I can incorporate them. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. I love hearing from you guys so much. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, watching my videos, supporting my channel. It is still absolutely baffling to me that I can consider YouTube and playing with makeup a side hustle. That's absolutely bananas to me, but I love it so much and I am so grateful. So thank you so very much as always for watching. If you're new here, I do upload new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!